Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. In this video today, as the title suggests, we're going to be discussing the government shutdown and specifically how it could impact the U.S. visa or the processing of U.S. visas, or the U.S. visa process. So as an immigration attorney, I'm a member of what's called the American Immigration Lawyers Association. It's quite a nice organization. I'm quite a fan of it, frankly. It's a very nice resource, and it allows for immigration attorneys to network. And frankly, immigration law is a vast body of very technical yet narrowly enforced set of laws. It's kind of novel in the world of jurisprudence. But a recent sort of informational guide, if you will, that AILA provided, basically threw out some things with respect to how is the process going to be, and I'm not reading this verbatim, but it's just sort of as a point-by-point note. How is the process going to be impacted in the event of a shutdown? For most folks, with respect to U.S. immigration, especially in a family context, which is primarily what we deal with over here, at least in my office, is things like fiancé visas, marriage visas, such as the CR1 or the IR1, or visas for like children of American citizens. For most of those folks, and even for certain kinds of investor visas, employment-based visas that are of an investment bent, so like things like the E2 visa for investors in the United States, or the EB5, this process isn't going to be overly, or I should say dramatically impacted by this recent shutdown. But there are some things that could happen. Visa and passport. Okay, so first of all, let me start where I need to start. United States Citizenship and Immigration Service is essentially funded from the fees paid for the applications and petitions filed therewith. So they aren't really going to be impacted by this. They're going to continue operating because they have their own revenue stream. Moreover, visas and passports at U.S. embassies and U.S. consulates abroad have fees associated with them. So there's an independent revenue stream associated with visa and passport issuance. That being said, at the embassy level, the Department of State level, government shutdowns could be an issue with respect to whether or not there is enough funding to maintain a certain generally expected threshold in order to process the visas through that embassy or consulate. So, although visa application fees do go toward paying things like salary and overhead associated with the embassy, it may or may not cover everything. And due to certain regulations or due to certain protocols, if there gets to be a funding gap that may widen out where there is no longer enough money coming in from that specific revenue stream associated with the visa, say the visa processing itself, there may come a point where they may have to shut down the consulate or the consular section issuing the immigrant visa unit or the non-immigrant visa unit, depending on circumstances. I have personally seen a government shutdown pretty heavily adversely impact visa processing. I can't remember exactly how long ago it was. There was a shutdown in 2013, but that shutdown, in my opinion, was rather mild compared to the shutdown that came before it. And that was due to the fact that it's my understanding the Department of State began taking measures to provide sort of reserve funding with respect to its operations. And in 2013, there was a shutdown. If things had gotten much worse, I think you would have seen further problems. But ultimately, embassy functions didn't fundamentally change. The shutdown before that, though, I remember that rather vividly. I was working over here in Bangkok, and yeah, the visa section wasn't operating for a couple of days during the middle of that, and it took a little while for everything to get back up on its feet and keep processing through. That being said, I mean, it doesn't adversely impact one's visa application. especially if the application is sitting with United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, probably nothing going to really change because those folks are still going to be working as normal. Again, I wouldn't worry too much about this in the opening days of a shutdown, and this video is being made during the opening days of a shutdown, this shutdown. If this shutdown becomes more protracted, I think it's fairly safe to say that, yeah, monitoring of the situation is going to be pretty handy. Frankly, I will probably do another video based on my experiences dealing with the U.S. Embassy here in Bangkok if there should be substantive changes with respect to the circumstances under which visas, both immigrant and non-immigrant visas, are processed as a result of this shutdown. But it remains to be seen if or when that will happen. In my opinion, I think it's way too soon to tell, and I think it's also possible it may not happen at all. But that being said, it could, and if it does, we'll provide an update by video on this channel.